Happy Friday. Happy Friday. You are listening to the She Heals Radio Show on Awesome God Radio. I am your host, Whitney J. It is Friday, February 19th, 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you are tuning in on the Awesome God Radio app, thank you so much. If you have not downloaded the Awesome God Radio app, what are you waiting for? Shows, amazing music, amazing sermon. Just get the app, connect, follow Awesome God Radio on every single platform that you have. You want to be tapped in. If you are tuning in on Periscope or my YouTube channel, thank you so much. If you have not followed me there yet, follow me, Whitney Hogan's. And last but never least, if you are tuning in on Facebook Live, thank you so much. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and share it to your page. Y'all, I am pumped up. I have my sister on the show today, y'all. One of a good, really, really good friend of mine, Anais Belgrave, also known as Annabelle J. She is going to come and bless us. Hey, Breezy, I love you, girl. She's going to bless us in the second half. We're talking all things business. Now, yes, her business happens to be in the beauty industry, but I'm telling you, the stuff that she teaches is good for everything. And it is time for us to get it together, okay? Hey, Sherelle, I love you, boo. So listen, y'all, I see my shirt. Y'all see my shirt? Let me scoot back. Let me make some adjustments because we got a word today. So my shirt says, shout out to my sister Georgia for the cute gift. Hey, Michelle, I love you. It says, sis, we bend, but we don't break. And that is the theme of the show tonight. We bend, but we don't break. Listen, y'all, I know that many of us have been really, really going through, right? There are so many things, not just with all that's going on with COVID. I'm sending special prayers to anybody and everybody in Texas and Louisiana. Listen, some of these southern states are really, really getting hit right now, and they're not prepared for it because they're not used to that type of weather. So please send your love. If you can donate to any organizations that's providing support, please do. But you guys are heavily in our prayers and my prayers. And so back to what I was saying. So we are going through, right? Many of us are going through, but we bend, but we don't break. Sometimes you got to remind yourself of who you are. Sometimes you've got to step back for a second and say, wait a minute, I belong to God. Therefore, this situation may be inconvenient, it may be stressful, may be hurtful, it may even be traumatic, but it will not kill me because the God that is over my life said that whatever it is, it will work for my good. That's in the word. And so we have to be encouraged sometimes to just know that things may be tough, but we bend, but we don't break. So for those that may be feeling low and depleted and at the end of the road, please understand that you serve a God that will swoop in at the last minute, at the final hour, and give you everything you need to get through whatever it is you're dealing with. So be encouraged. But this week, I'm gonna be honest, this week was rough. It started off really, really well. But I'll be honest, it's been tough. And sometimes you're in situations where, it's like it's repeated offenses, right? And so you get tired and you get frustrated. And, as an educator, my full-time career, my daytime career, I should say, because everything I do full-time. Love you, Miss Kim. I'm praying for you as well. In my daytime career as an educator, it's really frustrating right now. At one point, educators were respected. And at the beginning of COVID, it was like, oh, we just, love our teachers, our educators. And then something shifted. And all of a sudden we became the enemy. And only because we said, hey, we're cool with going back to school. We just want to go back to school and it be safe. That was it. Not that we didn't want to go back. Not that we didn't want to teach our students. Not that we didn't want to do our jobs. We just simply said, hey, can we make sure it's safe to do that? Can we make sure things are in place? Can we get the vaccine? Should we choose to take, can we have things in place? And all of a sudden, it became a problem. And every day it's been really discouraging. The things that I have heard, not just from, in my area, like in the district that I'm in, but across the state, across different states, just the tone is just so negative, and it can be really frustrating. And you can feel sometimes like, not valued, right? Have you ever felt not valued? You can feel mishandled. Have you ever felt that you've been mishandled? And God had to remind me that the career that he laid before me is something that he gave me. It is not what made me. And so guess what? It is not the thing that provides for my family. He is the provider for my family. And so you know what? He gave me enough courage. And the other day I took a day off, y'all. I don't ever take off days. But I took the day off yesterday. I wasn't feeling well. I literally woke up, full transparency. I had a panic attack. I just was overwhelmed with several different life things that are happening at once. And so I listened to my body. I took the day off. I reached out to my therapist just to check in about a couple things. And, I just took some time to rest. And during that time, I was praying and I was battling some things. I was really frustrated with some situations. There are some things, I've been silent about that I was like, I really want to get them. I really want to, share my piece to them. I really want to share how their behavior is impacting me, how these comments that you make, love you, Nelson, thank you, are impacting me. I really wanted to go there. I was angry. I was frustrated. I was feeling depleted. I was feeling low, and I was feeling misunderstood and mishandled in several different situations. And God had to give me a word. And when God speaks to me, he can use anything. He can use anything. So he brought back this woman to my memory. And so at the previous school that I taught at, there was this woman, and she was a bus driver, and her name was Miss Robin. Oh my goodness. I can see her right now. And Miss Robin was so sweet. She was one of those people that when you see her, she's like, hey, sugar, how you doing? She just very positive, always smiling. And she would come inside, she would park the bus in between picking up our kids or dropping off our kids. And she would come inside if she needed to go to the front office for something, or if she needed to use the bathroom or something or whatever. But she would come inside in between stops. And she just was really, really sweet. The kids liked her. The staff liked her. Really sweet woman. But what I always knew about her, I could always tell when she was there because she wore this perfume. And the perfume she wore, it smelled really good, but it lingered. And it lingered for like minutes after. You could tell if I went down the staff hallway where the bathrooms were and I smelled that, I'm like, oh, Miss Robin must have been here. She must have went to the bathroom, because it lingered. The scent lingered. And God used that very quick memory of her that came completely randomly to minister a word to me. And the word that he ministered to me that I'm going to minister to you is what lingers when you leave a room. So many times we are so frustrated with people, right? Whether it be our bosses, friends, whomever, right? We're frustrated with them. If there have been people that have mishandled you, you're frustrated. I know people that are currently dealing with things with their jobs where they've been mishandled at their jobs. I know people that have dealt with friendships and business deals and different and relationships and different things where they've been mishandled. And it can be frustrating, right? And it can be frustrating because, things aren't always the way that they appear, right? So it can seem like, you're in the wrong, but behind the scenes, the truth, that there is some things that are going on. And so many of us have been mishandled. Maybe you've been mishandled. Maybe you had a coworker that you thought was your friend, and you thought y'all were cool, and something shady behind your back, right? To try to get ahead. Or maybe you had a friendship or a business partnership that some shady stuff happened, and it didn't work out the way you thought it was going to work out, and you were mishandled, right? Maybe there was a relationship, or maybe there was some type of situation with your family or whoever. You were mishandled. Maybe you were abused or attacked or something. You were mishandled, right? And so you're sitting there, and when you deal with that, all these feelings come. You might try to internalize it. You may try to make it seem like it's your fault. You may try to make it seem like you might become angry. You might become sad. You might become frustrated. There's a million feelings, right? But you have to remember what I said before. Miss Robin's scent lingered. How does that even make sense? Well, let me just tell you what God gave me. He said to me, yes, Whitney, there have been situations you have endured where you've been mishandled. Yes, I know that there are some things with friends. There are some things in business. There are some things in several different areas of your life where you've been mishandled, where you have been mistreated. Maybe you've been cheated out of something, or maybe you have been hurt or manipulated or lied to or lied on or whatever. But here's the thing, daughter. See, when I made you with a special design. I made you with a special scent. And when you gave your life to me, I magnified that scent. So guess what, baby? When you walk into a room, they can feel you before you get there. They know you when you're there, and your scent will linger long after they leave. So you don't have to take on the weight of what that person or that company or that ministry or that business did to you. You don't have to take on that weight, because please understand, they are suffering more than you are, because that lingering scent is still there. So guess what? They've got to deal with that. That company that didn't treat you right, they've got to deal with that. That person that mishandled you and maybe cheated you out of a business deal or whatever, they got to deal with that. Listen, trust me, you may be hurting, but your hurt is temporary. You will get another job. You will have another opportunity. You will heal from this particular situation. You will, and you will move on. Right now, it hurts. Right now, it feels like it's never going to get any better. But guess what? The sting will subside, because as long as I'm dwelling in you, there is nothing that can keep you bound. So guess what? Right now, you might be feeling with the debris of what has happened. But guess what? Over time, sooner than you think, it's going to hurt a little less. And you're going to move forward from it. But the people or the place or the company or the business or the ministry or whatever that mishandled you, your scent, they will smell forever. The scent of a good person never leaves. So it doesn't matter that it may seem like they're winning or losing or whatever. It doesn't even matter what they're doing, what's over there. What matters is you and your walk with God. The scent of a good person always will linger. Don't carry on the weight of what they did or didn't do. Let it go. Instead, focus on your weight. Focus on, God, heal me and correct me and restore me. Change my perspective on that situation. Change, help me to understand my part. If there is a part of it that I need to take ownership of, help me to do that. Help me to be better. Help me to forgive them. Help me not to be petty when I can. Help me not to seek revenge if it becomes available. Help me to instead move forward so that people, when they encounter me, they smell you. The scent that is on me is the scent that is of you. And so I don't want to be in no situation where I have left and the lingering of my mess is there. I want you to feel the linger. I want you to smell the linger of the God that is in me. So Lord, even though my flesh may want to respond one way, help me to die to my flesh every single day, God. Help me when my thoughts are not in alignment with you, when my actions are not in alignment with you, when my words are not in alignment with you. But help me, God, to be the person you've called me to be. Because whatever's over there, they have to deal with that. There's this great prophet by the name of Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, that he says in this song from way back, he says, I gotta live with the fact I did you wrong forever. That's the weight that they need. So if that job did you wrong, they gotta live with that weight, because your scent still lingers. If it's a friend that backstabbed you, or a business partner or whomever, they got to deal with that. Your scent will linger. So you know what? Honestly, you're in the better situation. Honestly, you really should say a prayer for that company or for that friend or for that business person or whomever, because they're going to need it far more than you are, because your scent lingers. Your scent lingers. When you understand who you are in God, you can move forward. Even if you don't get the outcome that you want, even if things don't line up the way that you want it to, even if you don't get to see what God does to them, listen, listen, I know what it's like to be hurting. And you want to see justice. Look at our country. How many times have I can't even name how many people right now that have had unjust deaths, murders, assassinations, and we want to see justice. And we get angry when that justice doesn't come. We get angry when they get acquitted. We get angry when they don't even get charged for what they did. We get angry, right? We get angry because we don't want to see that justice. But we have to understand that the word says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. But here is the part that gets us tripped up. We get so caught up in who hurt us and what hurt us and wanting vengeance and wanting, justice for that. And we want them to feel it, right? But then when we do something wrong, We want complete grace. We want complete immunity, right? We want God to just let that one roll. Lord, yeah, I know that I failed you in this area. I know I said the wrong thing and I did the wrong thing, but look at what they did to me. Look at over there, God. Look at what they did. I want to focus all my attention there on what they did to me and how I don't want to look at my mess that's over here and how I may have been the very pain that I'm feeling. I may have caused somebody else in another season in my life. We want complete grace. We want complete immunity. But the reality is grace is not the absence of correction. It is the absence of the consequence we deserve. You still have to be corrected. So before we get so consumed with them over there, now listen, I'm talking to you and I'm talking to me. Before we get so consumed with them over there and what they did to us, how they mishandled us, our first thing needs to be, God, help me to forgive and help me to forgive myself. Lord, I repent when I have mishandled somebody else. Lord, help me to let that situation go. Show me, give me the steps that I need to follow to be able to get to the healing that I deserve. Help me to figure out what am I supposed to do in that situation. But God, help me and help me not to be too far removed, because your grace has been sufficient for me as well. So give me a full perspective, not one way, not the other way. Not only what they've done to me, but also when I've missed the mark. Help me to get a full perspective, God. Help me also to repent for when I've mishandled you. Because, God, sometimes I throw you here, there, and everywhere. Yes, Breezy, you're so right. It hurt even more when they see you in the stab. Yes, honey, yes. And it's so hard, but I need God to give me a full picture. So, God, it doesn't mean that well, first, let me say this. Let me back up. My brain moving faster than my mouth. Let me say this first. Whatever you're feeling is valid. Period. That's a complete sentence. Whatever you're feeling is valid. And I think sometimes we get this confused as believers. We think that when we say, God, give me the strength to get through it and all of that, that means we are just supposed to forget the offense. That's not true. Because some offenses are not forgettable. You step on my toe when we're walking down the street. That's an offense that I can forget. There are offenses that are not forgettable. Murder, abuse, rape, kidnapping. There are things, manipulation and fraud. And there are things that are not forgettable. So we got to stop trying and taking on like, well, we just don't phase us anymore. If it's bothering you, you need to acknowledge that. But just because it's bothering you doesn't mean it has to have you bound. You can go to God, and through a process, not an easy process, he will give you the healing that you desire, but you got to see the full picture. So I can't want grace for myself and want death for somebody else. What I can do, though, is say, God, you know what? I just want to be released from the hold that thing has on me. I'm not worried about what you do in that situation. I don't need to know what happens in that situation. Lord, release me from what's binding me to it, what's having me bound by it, God. So yes, I was mishandled by that company. They did me dirty. I really gave my all there, and they mistreated me, God. They mishandled me, God. I'm hurt. They took things from me that I can never get back. They took time that I can never get back. I'm hurting. Lord, I can't do anything about that, though. So instead of me focusing there, God, help me to heal. But also, God, give me the tangible steps that I need to take. Is there something that I should do? Because sometimes we sweep everything under the rug. And we just think, oh, God's just going to heal me and that's it. No. There are some situations that require you to do a little extra work. So maybe it is filing that lawsuit. Maybe it is reaching out to the police or that counseling center or starting or going to a support group or going to therapy. Maybe it is having a conversation. Maybe it's not having a conversation. Maybe it is block and delete. Maybe it is whatever it is. There are steps. So we have to stop just like pretending like all of a sudden something doesn't hurt, because it does. And what is in you will always come out. You can fake that funk if you want. You can fake forgiveness and, oh, I've moved on and I'm good. Listen, you got to get that stuff out of you so that God can heal you. So you have to acknowledge the offense. But just because you acknowledge it doesn't mean you have to dwell on it. You can acknowledge it. You can release it to God and you can move on, because baby, you deserve peace. You deserve freedom. Nothing should have a hold on you. No one should have a hold on you. Nothing should have a hold on you where you're questioning, yourself all the time, where it's always what you think about and you can't even be comfortable in your own skin because it's not, no. That is not of God at all. But you have to seek God on how to maneuver that situation. You have to get godly counsel, because your flesh will have you out here. Listen. Your flesh will have you out here doing all kinds of things and thinking all kinds of things and saying all kinds of things. But when you know God, when you know better, you do better. So you've got to seek him. And listen, seek him until you get what you need. Sometimes I'll pray something and then I got to go back to it and I got to pray again. I got to say, God, maybe I didn't hear you clear. I don't know. This is still holding me. This thing is I'm still bound to this thing, God. So I got to keep coming to you, and I'm going to keep showing up, and I'm going to keep giving it to you, because one day I'm going to be free from it. So I'm going to keep on. But with that same energy, God, help me to deal with my mess over here. Help me to make amends if that's what I need to do. Help me to forgive myself for things that I've done. Help me to, to look at my practices and look at the way that I see things and the way that I think things and the way that I do things. Lord, correct me as well, because it's not all somebody else. It takes strength to be held accountable. It takes strength to not do them like they did you. It takes strength to save them by not sharing your side of the story. It takes strength to walk away and just say, you know what? This doesn't even require a response from me. This doesn't even need my attention anymore. I've had to, take some time to say, okay, well, Whitney, does that really need the effort that you're giving it? Does that situation need the energy? That thing that happened 10 years ago, does that need the energy that you're giving it right now? Or is that something that you need to let go, and you need to seek God and wise counsel and therapy to heal from it, not just walk away and dismiss it? But is that something that requires your immediate attention right now? Or is it something that is holding you hostage? You got to ask God to show you. Sometimes you gotta walk away when it looks like you're losing, because you're really winning. You got to be willing to understand that you can't control the narrative of anybody but yourself. I can't control anybody else's narrative about me. You could meet me and you could decide that you don't like me and I'm this and I'm that and I said this. Hey, I can't control that narrative, but I can control my narrative. And so it's important that every so often you go back to your narrative and you say, God, this is what I'm telling myself. Is it in alignment to the truth? This is what I am saying. Does it align to your word? This is what my narrative is. Does it align to what you said and your promise? You got to check your narrative. Some of us, we create narratives. It don't be no truth in it. Some of us are so used to either being the victim or the offender that we automatically shape our story to fulfill that. So if you're used to being the offender, you take offense whether or not take offense. You take the blame whether you deserved it or not. You just automatically assume, well, the reason why this happened is because I did something wrong. If you are a victim, you take on, the offense regardless of whether you were the victim or not. So maybe in this situation, actually, I did that. They didn't do that. But the narrative shapes, right? What's in us shapes our narrative. So how we see ourselves will shape the narrative. So if the narrative that I see for myself is somebody's always hurting me, then everything that I see, I'm going to only come from that perspective. People won't even be hurting me, but that's what I see. I don't see my part, right? So we have to shape our narrative, and we have to let go of the narratives that we cannot control. They let whoever say whatever, unless they have a hell or a heaven to put you in. Let it go. Know the truth for yourself. Know when it's a time to speak up and when it's a time to be quiet. Everything does not deserve your attention. Everything does not deserve your energy. You don't got to keep defending yourself. God knows. He's the judge. And I know that's easier said than done, because sometimes people, sometimes it can, your reputation does matter. I'm not saying that at all, but you can't control that other narrative. What you can do, though, is be yourself, because your character will speak for you. Your character will speak for you. If somebody said to you, or, came out and said to you, I heard Whitney was, on the corner, strangling people, right? People might hear that and believe it. But people that know me are going to say, wait, hold up. That's not in her character. That might mean I need to get a little more information, right? Because your character will speak for you. You can talk all day. You can tell people, I'm a woman of God. I could say that. I'm a woman of God. I'm anointed. I have self-control. I am poised. I am educated. I can tell you whatever I want, but who I am and my character is going to speak louder. So listen, I don't have to worry about other people and what they're saying, because my character will speak. So I can let their narrative go. And I can check my narrative. And if I am struggling, I have some people that are in my lives that will help me. Just yesterday, I was struggling with something. I reached out to my therapist, and she was like, okay, so let's check this narrative. Let's dissect that a little bit. Consider it this way. And she gave me some things to think about. And it helped me to realize that although my feelings were valid, my perspective needed some adjusting. Are you willing to be free in that way, to where it doesn't have to hold you anymore? Are you willing to get some true accountability and true help so that you can work through these things? I do not want to be 10 years from now talking about what somebody did to me this year. I don't want to be talking about what somebody did to me this year, 6 months from now. That is not my narrative. I am not attaching myself to that narrative. The narrative that I'm going to attach myself to is walking into the destiny that God has for me. I'm not going to continue to say, well, this happened and that happened and this happened back there and this happened up here. That cannot be my whole narrative for the God that I serve. That can't be the whole story. God, Jesus did not die on the cross for that to be my narrative. He did not give his life for my narrative to be the saddest story that you will ever speak, as everybody did something to me and I never did anything to anybody. And everybody always, that cannot be my narrative. I refuse. Why would I even serve God if that was it? So I'm going to do the necessary work on me. I don't have time. The word of God says, take the plank out of your own eye before you judge the speck in somebody else's. I don't have time to continue to attach myself to other things. God will deal with that. They will deal with that. I've got my own mess to deal with. But like my shirt says, I may bend, but I don't break. If that's you today, ask God to change your narrative. Ask God to give you what you need to move forward. Ask God to show you how to navigate that difficult situation. But understand that, again, don't carry the weight that's not yours to carry. I pray that you were blessed by the She Heals Inspiration segment. Listen, a good girlfriend of mine is coming on today. I'm pumped. I'm pressed. God has God lined you up with people. You never know when you meet someone, when it's just a right now connection or a godly connection. When I met this sister, 3 years ago, I want to say that time went by real fast. She was doing my makeup for an amazing event, but we got the talking, and it was like I was talking to myself. She is an incredible woman of God. She's an incredible wife and mother. She is an incredible beauty educator, professional makeup. This girl does it all and looks good while she's doing it. So I want to welcome to the She Heals radio show, Miss Anais Belgrade, also known as Abelle J. Hey, boo.
Hey, sis, how are you?
Wonderful. I have to turn you up. Hold on. It's low. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
I might be the sound on your end. Can you turn up a little bit more?
Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you at all now. Let's see. It was working good before, so I know it's going to be fine. Jesus fix it.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
You can hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know why I can't hear you, but we'll just keep moving. We'll figure. Oh, they said they can hear you, so we're good. You're good.
Okay.
So welcome to the She Heals radio show. My sister, this is your second time with us, and
Yes.
I am just so excited. You know, you really inspire me for so many reasons, but I want you to first introduce yourself to our listeners, and then we will go from there. Okay.
All right, so let me give y'all the short version. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am Anais J. Belgrave, also known as Annabelle J. I am a professional makeup artist and beauty educator. I have been in this industry for over 10 years, probably going on 11 now. I've lost count. And my goal in life really is just to impact women through beauty and with the word of God.
Amen. Amen. And so, you know, one of the things that you have helped me with, and I feel like it coincides perfectly with the first segment of the show, is, you know, how you see yourself matters, right? And the narrative that you say to yourself matters, right? And in the world of business, you know, our narrative towards ourselves is what is going to project in our business life, right? Yeah. So, you know, I remember a couple weeks back, and you and I have been talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
This post that was an attack against the makeup industry. They basically, somebody said, you know, I'm not spending over $150 to get my makeup done. And so it came, right. It came to this whole thing, right? And the thing wasn't whether $150 was expensive or not. It was the worth and the value.
Yes.
Craft. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I feel like there are people that don't fully understand the value of their craft.
Yeah, definitely. I was very taken aback by that comment, y'all. It got to the point where I had to repent because I was mad. If you follow me on Facebook, I was going in post after post after post, flooding feeds. And I think what really hurt the most is not so much of the person who made the post and the people who agreed with it. I think what really bothered me the most was the fact that there were a plethora of other makeup artists who were, you know, co-signing this. Oh yeah, I only charge $50. As a matter of fact, I'll get on a plane and I'll come and I'll do your makeup for free. If you just inbox me, DM me on IG. And I'm just like, are you running a business or are you running a hobby? Because if you're running a business, yes, we can love what we do. And this is what I always teach the girls in my group. Like, you have to love this thing to the point where even if you don't get paid for it, you would still do it. However, I'm gonna need you to get a coin. Like, I'm gonna need you to get paid at the end of the day. Like, we can't survive off of exposure or, you know, off of just the goodness of our heart. At the end of the day, we run a business. And I feel like a lot of people don't see makeup that way because it's a job in a career path that we enjoy. It's fun, it's art. So people don't respect it as a actual business. It's like, oh, that's your little, you know, how people told me, oh, that's your little side hustle, the little thing you do on the side. And I'm like, hold on now, let's run that back. This is a whole business. I've been doing this professionally for 11 years, and this is my bread and butter at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's amazing that, but I think, again, that speaks to who we are as the business owner. Yeah. And I know for me, you and I have had many conversations about this. I struggled, you know, and when I first started my publishing company, and listen, my coach, my business coach, shout out to Lakeisha Williams, she used to be like ready to fight me. because
How you do me now?
yes, yes, it is actually exactly how I do you now. But she was ready because the prices, she was like, ma'am, you are selling yourself short and you're never going to be able to make a profit and you are killing yourself and you're not making anything in return. Like you have to look at this as a business.
Absolutely.
And how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as worth it?
Yep.
And so many of us, I think that we charge wrong based on one of two things. One, we don't know who our target audience is.
Absolutely.
And two, we don't have the confidence in ourselves.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that. Like what are some tips that you have for understanding those 2 points?
When it comes to target audience, one thing that a late aunt of mine said to me when I first started, and it has resonated with me ever since. She said, Anais, if you try to be for everybody, you won't be for anybody. So you have to kind of set your when it comes to like finding your niche, that kind of thing. When I started 11 years ago, I was doing cut creases and glitter and extreme highlight and contour and all of that. And the name that I have for my business, all of that spoke to a specific target market. So I was basically targeting clients who were usually within the age range of like 16 to like maybe 25. They didn't really have much money. They were in school. They were relying on their parents. So I couldn't charge any more than $50. And for the amount of detailed work that they wanted, I realized now I got all these kids, the amount of money that I need to see coming in to take care of all overhead costs, whether it be kit fees or travel, transportation, lawyer, accountant, websites, there's a lot of overhead fees, and the price that I was charging and the target audience that I was charging was not going to cut it. And I had to sit down, and actually right now we have a challenge going on inside of my makeup group, which is called the Cost to Be the Boss Challenge. And we have to sit down for the rest of the month and itemize our kit. Everything from lighting, chairs, tables, whatever the case is. And I really wanted people to do this so they can start to see the value that they have invested in their kit. And with that being said, when it comes to choosing your target market, now go through your kit and see what that collection, name your target audience. So mine is basically called Susie. Susie is typically an older professional, and she usually is at a coffee shop. She usually will spend her days at a coffee shop, and she's a professional as far as whether it be teaching or she's in the medical field. She usually has to attend galas, things of that nature. Susie is going to pay me top dollar. She's not going to question my prices. Susie is also going to tip very, very well. And that is how I was able to kind of, narrow down who my target audience is. I looked at my collection and realized that the things that I had spoke to those who were, I also work for TV. So it was also geared towards people who do red carpet. There's not a lot of, you won't find a lime green in my kit because that's not what my audience wants. So you have to really narrow down who your target market is, and then that will kind of help you to gauge what your prices should be, how you're going to market to them, the type of business, name that you choose. Because if you're trying to target someone out in the Hiltons, Beats by She it's not going to, it's not going to rock. So, it's so much that goes into running the beauty business. I think people just think if you got one eyeshadow palette and 2 good brushes, it's all you really need. But you have to have the business side of it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And knowing that goes for anything that you are doing, knowing who. I always say to my authors, who is this book for? You want to write a book? Okay. Who is the book for? Write it how they need to hear it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Book to teenagers. I'm going to use certain language that they think. And so I think that is a big thing with many of us in business, whether it's business or ministry, whatever. We don't know who our target audience is. I think the other part is the confidence. And so, I made this comment. We were talking on the phone the other day, and I'm the type of person, I value people's craft.
Yeah.
I never want you to do something cheaper for me.
Right.
I will say often, listen, the issue is not your price. The issue is my budget. Right. So,
right.
So listen, that's it. I'm not going to Gucci. Right. I'm not going in the store and saying, I'm sorry,
right.
It's too expensive. No, it's either I got the coin to get the bag or I don't. And so I take that same approach into business. So when someone says to me, this is what I charge,
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking myself, one, well, we'll get to that in a second. I'm asking myself, okay, I'm not negotiating. Now, if this is a place where negotiating prices
Yeah.
is an expected, encounter, that's one thing. There
Yeah.
are, industries that is appropriate and expected. I'm not saying that, but you telling me, hey, I charge $200 for this makeup. Okay, well, to me, it just is what it is. Either I have the $200 and that is something that I want to invest in myself in that moment, or I don't. Now,
Yeah.
the flip side of that is, does your price
Reflect.
go
Mm-hmm.
coincide with your service?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so if I can brag on you for a bit, I went to New York. Shout out to Joyce and Jimmy Terry. I went to
Yes.
interview for their ministry, and she came, and first of all, my face was beat. Okay, it looked good. I was like, oh, I didn't know she was in there, but it was the conversation, and it was the professionalism, and it was the education of learning. Like, hey, don't just go wipe your face with a rag, because mind you, I'm not an everyday makeup wearer, so there are things that I don't know. But it was so much there. I think of Asia. When I went to Vegas for the Stella Awards, and she came to my hotel, and I felt like a celebrity. It was an experience.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
talk about that, because you share a lot about that. Whatever it is that you have a business for, you should be creating an experience with your client. Talk a little bit about that.
I am really big on experience because, truth be told, if you want to get into makeup, you can. But the problem is that people will sit back and watch pretty pictures, and this is the beauty and the curse of social media at the same time. People will sit back and watch my post and say, "Oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that." And I'm like, "But can you? It takes a lot to do this because, again, it's all about providing that experience." So yes, like I mentioned before, I do work with a lot of celebrities, and I don't treat them any different than the everyday woman, because when you sit in my chair and you're paying me your money, you are going to get an experience. So I'm not just gonna, grab some cocoa butter and slap on your face and we're gonna, slap. No, I'm going in and we're gonna, do a 5-minute massage. You're gonna get a nice luxury sheet mask and eye patches and a lip mask. And then before you do that, I'm gonna, go in with the brows, and we're gonna, I'm really gonna analyze your bone and your facial structure and try to figure out what looks are tailored for you. We're going to talk. Of course, now I'm also a Christian counselor. So 9 times out of 10, you sitting in my chair and you tell me about that cheating boyfriend who ain't no good, and your mama who getting on your nerves, and kids that won't give you a break. And when you get up out of that chair, it is going to be the best you've ever felt. And if I realize, as a woman of God, if I realize that you're sitting in my chair and that energy is off, we're going to have a whole session, because I promise you, I'm pulling oil out the side pocket of my bag, and we're going to slay some demons while I slay your face. It's going to be it's really all about the experience. So if you, like I always tell other, aspiring MUAs, and even those who are already in the industry, if you are going to be charging luxury prices, you need to create a luxury experience. Don't think because I charge X amount of money and we're in the same field, you get to do the same. The same way if you go on Glassdoor, there are entry level prices if you look for dental assistants and things of that nature, but it comes with certain job qualifications. Do you meet the qualifications in order to receive that wage and that salary? So it really goes hand in hand. We can shout, from the top of our lungs, makeup is a luxury, but do you provide a luxury experience? That is your responsibility as the artist to make sure that you do provide that experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, that goes across any business.
Yeah.
I need you to understand that, yes, you could go over there and get it. And you could go over there and get it for cheap. You're not going to get what I'm bringing, right?
Yeah,
you're not going to get the full experience. And that is the focus here. One of the things, too, that I've been just kind of dealing with and pondering with is, I think sometimes as a business owner, we get into our place and we just think, okay, I have found my niche, right? Here's my lane, and I'm going to stay right there. Well, we know as believers, there is no lane with God. He will have you wherever. And so sometimes it may require us to restructure a business, to revamp, to rebrand. And those things a lot. Can you talk a little bit about that and give some tips to people that maybe they're in a season where something is shifting in their respective craft and they're trying to navigate it?
So with the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, like literally the day that they announced that the world was shutting down, I had actually just stepped off of a plane and I came from Atlanta, Georgia, to teach a young woman how to do makeup for TV and film. I came home that night and my entire world shifted. The thing that was making my bread and butter and being on set and getting on planes and doing this was done. And I had to pivot. And I know a lot of people, especially for those of us who are in God and we believe that, this thing and the Lord has only set me on the straight and narrow path. And first of all, I'm biblically correct, but anyway, at the same time, I had to pivot. I had to find ways that I was still honoring and being a good steward, because that's my word of the year is stewardship, be a good steward of the gift that God has placed in me. But at the same time, it's okay if God says, you know what, Anais, we're going to detour a little bit. I need you to trust me. And that was one of the biggest things. So right now, again, back to my makeup group is my life, y'all. So I'm going to reference them a lot. We have weekly challenges. And one of the challenges that we had last week was to create a brand board. And that was basically taking your logo, the colors, finding fonts, things of that nature. And, figuring out how it works with your brain. If you are driving by 100 miles an hour and you see a Target logo, you know exactly that it's for Target. If you see HBO in the flash of an eye, you know it's HBO because they have taken the time to reiterate those colors and those fonts and things of that nature. So when it comes down to this, I had to shift. I had to pivot during this pandemic, and the colors and the logo and everything that I used before spoke to that season. And it's not that God is shifting you so much from the overall industry, but he'll move you like chess pieces within the industry. And I can tell you, I have touched just about every portion of makeup artistry that is down to I do makeup on the deceased. And that's a whole nother topic for another day. But I am now learning that when it comes to rebranding, I didn't really pay much attention to it before. And now I'm understanding, well, Anais, what does your brand say without you ever having to speak? What do the colors say? What do the type of fonts? I mean, and as simple as it may sound, even down to the fonts that you use can send a certain message. It can speak luxury, or it can speak, hey, come get this beat from In the Hood real quick. And I'm not knocking hood artists. Let's not, think it like that. But at the end of the day, I understand that the type of move and shift that God was taking me in, I had to change. So now my colors are like these really blushy tones and deep burgundies and cranberries and rose golds, because when you see those type of colors, you think bridal. So now I am moving more into as a bridal artist, even down to the type of fonts that I chose to use, really soft cursive letters, letters that had really soft edges. And again, prior to the pandemic, I had never even given this a second thought. I just used to go on Fiverr and be like, get me a logo. Okay, the first one they sent me back, I'm like, that's great. Here's your money. I never really never put any thought into it. And now, but since I've had the time to sit, because we know this as entrepreneurs, we are always on the go. And I'm not happy for the pandemic in that sense, with lives lost and things of that nature, but I was happy for it and the chance where I had an opportunity to really sit and hear from God concerning my next steps, because there's nothing worse than being booked and busy and broke. That don't make no sense.
Or unhappy.
And I was basically all of the above at that point. And I can honestly say that even now, in the middle of a pandemic, God has been such a provider, because I've taken the time to just sit down and listen to things. Yes, God will speak to you, even to the things concerning your very business. God, what should my next step be? What font should I use? I have a friend who says she don't go outside unless she asks God what shoes she should wear today. What's the weather going to be like? And even though the forecast say it's going to be sunny, God is like, wear your rain boots. And she's like, why, Lord? And guess what? It rained that day. So even though you speak to God, even about the most silliest of things, guess what? He will answer you. And when I finally had the chance to sit down and put these colors and these fonts and everything together, and I realized that God was literally shifting me into something I had never done before. I am now moving into beauty photography that I never thought I would have done. And the minute I changed my layout for my Instagram and invited these colors and these fonts, now I'm getting all these bridal inquiries, and I'm getting all these photographers who are wanting to collaborate and to do shoots. So listen, ask God. I'm telling you, ask the Lord, what is your next season? And don't be so tight knit, into thinking this is what I'm so used to. It's okay to let it go for a little while or permanently, but trust God in the process.
Okay, so that was a word for me. Okay, from the other night. because sometimes you will think, this is my lane. I am an
this lane.
I am you know, and you get into that, like, this is what I do. And then God throws that curveball and you're like, what?
Do I catch it or let it bop me in the side of the head? Like,
gymnastics now, God? Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, and it flows, and
Yeah.
he covers you, and he will give you everything that you need, right? He will give you what you need up front to fulfill the assignment. But we have to be willing to shift as he does it, and pivot as he says. And I think that is what is the determining factor between businesses flourishing and businesses, you know, stopping prematurely, because sometimes we are afraid or just unwilling to shift. So God, that unexpected assignment, you know, if you would have said, I'm not a photographer.
Right.
I'm not a photographer. I'm not doing that. And it's so funny how we tell God what we are. Yeah, God really got about that. Oh, really? Because you gave birth to who? Like, you gave birth to yourself? You died for your own sins? Oh, I say who you are. I say you're an astronaut. Then put that gear on, honey. And so that's a word for somebody that don't talk yourself out of something that God is saying is yours to have. If he says you are a business owner, then bless the Lord. If he says you're an author, a makeup artist, a hairstylist, a writer, an actor, I don't care what it is. If he said that it is yours to have, then it is yours. So the first step is you got to believe it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
How can you convince me to partake of something that you don't believe in? How are you going to, you know, how are you going to convince me? You know, I think about, I know this guy, shout out to Wes. He is Wes Watson. He is a car salesman. I bought 2 cars from him. And I mean, like, he's good at what he does. I'm saying that to say, like, he believes in himself. He believes in you as his client.
Right.
And you just go to him.
Wow.
You just go. You know, for you as a professional makeup artist, you have that experience that I'm just going to go. So again, I'm not asking a whole lot. You know, you meet those people, they want to ask you 87 questions. You know, one t-shirt for $20 and you got to tell your whole life story before they buy it.
What kind of cotton is, you know?
Right. And it's like, ma'am, you either get okay. But I mean, for certain people, you're just going, I'm not questioning Kirk Franklin. When he I'm going to get it. I mean, that's it. So you have to have that. You've got to have that confidence in yourself that God gave me this gift. And you got to be willing to work for it.
Yeah.
So I think the other part is the humility that comes with business. So it's being willing to say, I need to learn.
Oh, yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
I don't care how long I have been in this industry. Whitney will tell you I am always in somebody's class. I'm always taking the class. I actually just got a whole yearly subscription for Skillshare.com because I want to really master this photography. I'm never, you know, to the point where I feel like I have learned it all. There will never be a point where you will learn it all, because we honestly keep screaming change is, you know, it's inevitable, but yet we want to keep the same mindsets and expect for us to take it to the next level. It doesn't work like that. So I constantly make sure that I'm not only going to invest in the latest products and the, you know, the nicest brushes, but I'm going to invest in myself, because that stuff isn't really for me. That's for the client. I don't ever get to really use the makeup that I buy. But when it comes to the educational piece, that is how I am able to be a better, you know, a better beauty educator or a better makeup artist or whatever it is. I invest thousands of dollars every single year in just my education. If I have invested in my kit, I need to match that with my education. And now when God has, you know, finally told me, Anais, we're going to shift you now from TV and film. We're going to go full-fledged into bridal and beauty. And I want you to add photography on that too. Okay, God. Provide so that way I can get the education that I need. And guess what he did? Because I got a $40, you know, 40% off coupon, y'all. Clap it up. And get a whole year for like $100. And my husband said, well, if that's what you want, then we'll get it. And I have been making sure to spend every day an hour, and I invest in that education and learning. And I have, you know, a couple of friends who are in, you know, the photography industry, and I'll inbox them, you know, hey, can you point me in the direction of resources, or how much is it going to be for you to give me a consultation or, you know, a lesson? I need to be able to pour that back into myself. So I don't care how long you've been in the industry. I don't care how much you think you know, how many degrees you got, and you are never in a position where you cannot learn. There's never a point where you can't learn.
You should always be a student of your craft.
Oh yes.
Always be a student of your craft. And you are right. And that requires that humility to be willing to learn something new, even when you might be well versed in another area. So it's so important that you get that education, that accountability. Please have some mentors, y'all. Please have somebody that checks.
Not this one. This is mine. Get your own.
I can't. But get some mentors. You know, you need people that to walk alongside. Listen, I met with my business coach earlier today, and I was like, these are my, you know, this is what I'm working on, and let's talk about this. And what are your thoughts on that? And, you know, when God really does shift things, it's imperative to have someone that can see what you can't see.
You can't see. Yeah.
You know? And so it's like, I kind of feel like, you know, in my personal situation, I got these certain things that kind of go together.
Right.
I have this thing that kind of came. That God said, here it is. And, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do with that. And so I need help and, you know, trying to streamline things so that it's not all over the place, so that it's decently in order, even if creatively there are different genres. You can think of like Diddy. Diddy's got liquor.
Golden Line, music.
Like they are things that they all streamline though in some way. Okay. You know what I mean? And
common denominator somewhere,
right. There's a common denominator somewhere. So if you have several things that you're doing and you feel like, God, this is all over the place. This is a hot mess.
And that one thing.
Ask him to give you direction so you can streamline it. And for like I said, master one thing first.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't try to start 5 new things at the same time. You get yourself out.
I was guilty of that. Yes.
Master one thing. And then God will start, he will show you seasons of like, once you get one thing up and running and it has some consistency and a flow and order, you can then introduce that new thing because now you have the time to focus because you got one thing that's in place. So take your time. And that's what a mentor does.
Yes.
That's what accountability and seeking God, even in your business, does. It provides all of those things.
Yeah.
So listen, you have to come on again because we got more to talk about. But I need people to know how to get in contact with you. Talk to what services you offer and how you can reach you. We will drop it in the comments as well.
Okay, so if you would like to contact me, whether it is if you are in New York and you would like to have your makeup done, or if you want to do a one-on-one, you can contact me via my website, which is under construction right now, but it'll be back up and running in a couple of days, beautybyannabellej.com. You can also follow me on Instagram or find me here on Facebook underneath the same handle, Beauty by Annabelle J. I'm quite sure at one point Whitney will drop the link to join my makeup group, whether you are an aspiring makeup artist, if you're a makeup junkie, if you want to know how to blend those 2 eyeshadows together without it looking muddy, you can definitely join in on this group. We teach from the very, very beginner all the way to the pro artist. So there's a space in there for everyone.
And what is the name of your group again?
It is the Kiss and Makeup. So THEE Kiss, letter N, Makeup. I'll put it right there.
I'm actually putting it up here as well. Got it. Okay. So everything is in the comments, her website, her Instagram, and her page, her group on Facebook. Please join all these things. And again, if you are in New York, reach out, go get your face done, go have a consultation, whatever it is that you need. Listen, if you're a makeup artist and you just need, some guidance, listen, reach out. Will pay what she charges, y'all. Don't play. Don't be on here saying you heard from She Heals and you try to nip my friend. You have a problem. Okay? Oh my God. I'm kidding. But I'm telling you, I heard nothing else. Whatever your craft is, whether it's beauty, I don't care what it is. Give it your all.
Yes.
Give it God and work that thing. Don't decrease yourself in any way. Know who your target audience is. Know your service. Be a steward of your service and provide your business will thrive.
Yes.
It will thrive. And
even if God, in a pandemic.
That's even in a pandemic. Yes. He's that faithful. And if you're doing something new, embrace that, trust God, trust the process, and go all in. I'm telling you, your breakthrough is on the other side of your obedience. Yeah. I want to thank Hold on, I'm getting all your names mixed up together, girl. Anais Belgrave, also known as Annabelle J. Thank you so much for being on the show. I pray that God blesses you immensely and that you will just continue to be the amazing woman you are. You know, I adore you and you inspire me. Thank you. Shout out to Quincy for making sure the show is always together. Shout out to Awesome God Radio. And also, last but never least, to every person that comes and listens, whether you're listening for the first time or the 30th time. I do not take for granted that you come and hang with me on Friday nights. It is a privilege. Lord, I pray that you were pleased with this show. In closing, she thinks, she feels, she prays, she cries, she trusts, she invests in herself. She has confidence in herself, and ultimately, she heals. This is the She Heals Radio Show with host Whitney J. Have a blessed weekend. We will see you back here next Friday, same time, same place. Take care. God bless.
Bye.